Hi everyone. This is the voice behind the noise. And I am Myron. Why have almost all empires invaded Afghanistan? From these pictures we can see that there are many countries that attempted to annex Afghanistan in history. Why are so many powerful countries invading Afghanistan? Is Afghanistan very rich? No. Since ancient times, Afghanistan has not been a good place. Except for deserts and mountains, there is almost nothing. It has always been extremely poor. So what exactly are these countries trying to invade Afghanistan? There is only one reason: Afghanistan is the only way for every empire to expand. Okay, please check out the map. 1. If Central Asia is occupied by the Northern Empire, then as long as Afghanistan is occupied, it will face a flat South Asia. For example, the Mongol Empire and the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan to open up the passage to South Asia. 2. If South Asia is controlled by an empire, then as long as Afghanistan is occupied, then the Central Asia and South Asia will be dishes on the menu. For example, when Britain invaded Afghanistan after occupying India, it wanted to reach out to Central Asia. 3. If West Asia is controlled by an empire, then as long as Afghanistan is occupied, it will face the unarmed Central Asia and South Asia. For example, the Persian Empire invaded Afghanistan. Here's a point: Afghanistan's terrain is less deadly to East Asia, because East Asia's terrain is not suitable for large-scale, rapid access. No matter who it is, as long as it occupies Afghanistan, it will form a very favorable situation. It is precisely because the strategic location of Afghanistan is so important that whenever an empire wants to occupy it, the surrounding countries will desperately support Afghanistan. For example, during the British Empire, the United Kingdom invaded Afghanistan, and Tsarist Russia allied with Afghanistan. The United Kingdom invaded Afghanistan 3 times between 1839 and 1921, but failed to expand its sphere of influence to Central Asia. For example, when the United States and the Soviet Union were fighting for hegemony, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. With the support of NATO, United States and Pakistan, China, in Afghanistan, the Soviet Union spent 10 years and successively entered Afghanistan with as many as 900,000 troops, but failed to obtain the final victory, which led directly to the disintegration of the Soviet Union. Why did the US start the war in Afghanistan in 2001? In fact, it is not at all for the so-called counterterrorism, but for the realization of the goal of a unipolar world. After the 9.11 incident, the Taliban immediately issued a statement saying that the terrorist incident had nothing to do with bin Laden, but the US government still identified bin Laden as the #1 suspect in the terrorist attack and quickly launched an attack on Afghanistan. After the war happened and everything was irreversible, in order to boost morale, bin Laden had to admit that he planned it. The fundamental purpose of the US war in Afghanistan is to win Iran. After winning Iran, the US will control the Strait of Hormuz, and then the US will control the channel of maritime oil transportation, and China, Japan, South Korea, and India will all submit to the US. Therefore, if the United States wants to achieve the goal of a unipolar world, it must control Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. After the United States wins Afghanistan and Iran, it will continue to infiltrate Central Asia through Iran and Afghanistan, foster pro-American forces, cut off ties with Russia, or drag Russia into war. At the same time, the United States will ask Europe to stop importing oil from Russia, impose trade blockades and economic sanctions on Russia, and then replicate the model of the disintegration of the Soviet Union and dismember Russia. Therefore, for China, Russia, and even the whole world, the United States must not be allowed to conquer Afghanistan and Iran. Once the US conspiracy succeeds, even if there are many other means to break the game, the price will be extremely high. In order to prevent the United States from achieving the goal of a unipolar world, Iran, with the support of China, Russia and Europe, the US did not dare to take military risks. In 2008, the United States wanted to block the transportation channel from Russia to Iran, and encouraged Georgia to join NATO. Russia launched Georgia War, the United States instigated India to cut off the China-Pakistan channel, and India had 180,000 troops on the Sino-Indian border. In fact, there were as many as 1 million, and in the end India did not dare to take the risk. The goal of the US unipolar world has gone bankrupt, then the US military presence in Iraq and economic sanctions against Iran will be meaningless. In 2010, the United States began to withdraw troops from Iraq one after another, and in November 2011, they all withdrew. In 2015, the United States announced the cancellation of economic sanctions against Iran. Although the goal of the United States unipolar world has gone bankrupt, the United States has fallen into a trap dug by itself. The United States launched the war in Afghanistan on the grounds of 9/11 and wanted to overthrow the Taliban regime, but it has been unable to achieve this goal. Without the overthrow of the Taliban regime, the United States cannot withdraw its troops, because withdrawal means the surrender of the United States to the Taliban, and it means that all those who died on September 11 are worthless. However, the reality is that it has been 18 years since the United States launched the Afghan war in 2001, but the Taliban still controls about 50% of Afghanistan's territory. The inability of the United States to defeat the Taliban and withdraw its troops is tantamount to cutting a deep wound in the body of the United States, causing the United States to continue to bleed. A lot of money is spent every month, and soldiers are sacrificed every month. In the past 18 years, Afghanistan has not fallen because of the stubborn resistance of the Afghan people, but if there is no support from other forces, then I believe that even if the terrain of Afghanistan is special, it will not be able to rely on its own strength to confront the powerful United States. Therefore, the United States is caught in a dilemma: retreating means admitting defeat, advancing? But they don't know how many people will die or how much money will be invested. We all know that the United States finally chose to surrender and withdraw its troops from Afghanistan. And Afghanistan, once again, proved to the world that the cemetery of empires is not unearned reputation. It's just that this time, it is the Emperor of America who is buried. Okay, that's all for today. See you in the next video.